Good afternoon and welcome to the Key Hire Solutions live stream for small businesses. My name is Corey Harlock. I'm the founder and creator of Key Hire. If you're wondering what Key Hire does, we are a human capital consultancy for small businesses. We help small business owners that are running businesses in the $5 to $15, $20 million range. We like to say we help you stop struggling and start growing. And today we have an awesome guest, Terry Parrish from Wood Finishers Depot, one of our oldest clients that we've been working with, and we've done a lot of amazing things with Terry, and he's done a lot of amazing things with his business. And what I want to talk about today is really that small business owner mindset. How do we change our mindset to understand what we're doing got us to a certain point, but it won't get us to the next point. Well, we always talk about when your only input is man hours, the process needs to be changed or upgraded. So how do we bring in experience? But even before bringing in experience, how do we identify our needs? How do we target that experience? And then how do we bring it into the business and turn people loose to do what they do, to put process and procedure into our business so we can scale. So without further ado, let's bring Terry Parrish onto the live stream. Mr. Parrish.
Hey, Corey.
How are you?
Great. I'm great. Thanks for having me today.
It is my pleasure. Terry, we have worked on and off for, it feels like about at least 3 years, isn't it?
Yeah, it's been a while. I was thinking about that earlier, 18, 19, something like that. We got involved with each other.
8, yeah, holy jumping, it's a lot. And we've done, there's been a bit of work put in over there. If we look back, we got a director of ops, a director of sales, director of marketing.
That's correct.
We've done a bit of work over there. So I'm so happy to have you, because you have always been one of my favorite people to work with, because you are open to ideas, and you're always the first person to say, like, here's my idea, but let me know if you have a better one, or, let's talk about solutions. So we kind of talking about this small business owner mindset, right? And we were joking before about mom and pop, to kind of grow it. Everyone starts as a mom and pop. You hire your friends, you hire your relatives, you hire your neighbors' friends, and that gets you where you need to go. But once you start building a professional organization, you kind of need to change the way you think. So I guess the first question I have for you is, what was it that changed in your mindset? What was it that you saw or changed in the way you were seeing your business, or when you looked into the future, what was it you saw that you needed to change or do differently in order to grow Wood Finishers?
Yeah, well, we've been in business a long time. 1985, we started our business out, and we've went through a few iterations, reinvented ourselves a few times. But back in 2008, we made a conscious decision to really try to scale our business and grow, and kind of leave that mom and pop mindset you mentioned behind. And so we began in earnest really down that path, and we knew that, as you said earlier, what got us here probably couldn't get us there. We knew once we defined there, we knew where we wanted to go. Then it was pretty obvious that we had a lot of work in front of us, and a lot of changes to embrace, and figuring some stuff out, because we didn't know how to do it. We just knew that we wanted to get there. And so just going through that and starting, as you said, getting that open mindset, so important, and being willing to, try things and fail forward, as I like to say, and doing it out. And so I sit on an informal peer review board once a month with other business owners. Has been a really good thing for me, because it's a sounding board, and not only getting to know and network with those guys, but through that meeting, I forget who it was now, one of the members or the facilitator, someone brought you in aboard as a presentation.
Right. Yeah.
And
I remember that.
Yeah. And so you gave us your pitch of how you go about things, and it was really different. I had only been exposed to the do-it-yourself mode or the classic headhunter mode, goods and bads on both of those. But your model was so different that it really struck and resonated with me. And I left that meeting kind of going, that's pretty cool, and I'm really interested, but that's way bigger than I can't afford it, all that stuff. And then I don't know, 6 or 8 months later, one day I was sitting in my office stressing over a particular job, and I just go, you know what? I dug out around my desk. I found your business card, and I gave you a call, and
Yeah.
it was a good call for me, and it really helped us go forward. So just the difference in approach and doing it, man, it's worked for us. We've had a lot of success, and we've added some really good team members here.
And I think, we were able to get you such good people because you and I spent so much time developing the roles, talking about, okay, great, here's a job description, but beyond the job description, what are those key pieces of experience that we might not even know you need, or with turning the nice to haves into the must haves, and just reworking that whole mindset around, oh, it'd be great if we can get someone like this, but we'll probably get someone like this. And we shifted that and said, no, we're not going to settle. We're going for Cadillac, right? We want to go out and get exactly what you need to get you where you want to go, and just working through that process.
Yeah, I know for me and a lot of business owners that I interact with, that's, not necessarily my favorite thing in the world to do, is to sit down and think about job descriptions, titles, roles, accountability charts, all that good stuff. But we committed ourselves to doing that. And it was a long journey and a painful one in some ways, but it really was worth the investment of time and thinking, because you hit the nail on the head. Once you get your mind around what you really need, and you can articulate that, for me, just being able to articulate that to you and make you understand it was seeking clarity, I guess you might say. And that was very, very helpful overall. And, something else, I think in the last one position in particular, I remember that you and I worked on, we started someplace and ended up kind of someplace different. We evolved. And it turned out to be a really, really good thing, which is something else I liked about working with Key Hire. And your model is, that's okay. Some of my experiences with professional headhunters, that's something you just don't do. They're kind of all about just volume, right? Slamming it through.
Yeah. Well, and they trust what you want.
Right.
And if there's one thing I've learned working with small business owners, is there's a lot of, I think I know what I want. And that's kind of the next question, right? Like, what are some of those pitfalls? So when you think about growing, we touched on maybe some of them, but I'm thinking about growing, like, what are some of the pitfalls? I'm a small business owner watching this live stream thinking, man, I feel Terry's pain here. What are some of the things that you would say you got to be careful of, or what are some of those pitfalls that you could run into when you're trying to build what I refer to as your professional leadership team, right? That team that's bringing all that capacity and experience and can say, okay, here's what we need to do.
Right. Yeah. As we've scaled up and have done it for many years, I sit around and going, boy, I wish I had a leadership team. You could see everybody always talks about delegating and, staying in your lane and using your genius and all that stuff. And I was buying in from day one, but being able to think about that mentally and being able to afford it, are not always the same thing. Right. And so for me, it was, most importantly, it was a mindset. I just had to put myself in the right frame of mind, that being willing to try some things, sitting down and planning, I know for me, sitting down and thinking about what I want to do this year, or maybe 3 years, we, for example, have a 20 by 30 goal. In my younger days, a younger part of my career, I used to think, I'm not going to plan 3 years, 5 years, or God forbid, 10 years out. You can't, who knows what's going to happen.
Right.
But I found that that's been very helpful, because it just gets you in a mindset. And I think our subconscious are pretty powerful. And when we start thinking about those things, the next thing you know, you look up and you're doing things and you're moving along, almost, your subconscious is kind of leading you along. So that planning for me was really, really important. And then once you commit yourself to a path, most of us, especially small business guys, we're pretty darn stubborn, pretty hard headed and tenacious, right? And so,
never noticed.
Yeah, exactly. Once
so,
once you lock your head around it, then you're pretty unstoppable. So for me, that was the biggest thing. Just personally making an inward commitment, and then going out there and trying to figure out. And it wasn't perfect. I mean, we had a lot of false starts and stops, but we just stayed after it, and we're still after it. But we've gained so much.
That's the thing about I always say about the human capital game, right? Is you never bat 1,000, because when you deal with humans, stuff happens, and people that you think are going to be great sometimes turn out to not be just the right fit for whatever reason. But even people that turn out to be a great fit have things that happen in their lives and can knock them off track and things like that.
Yep.
But the other thing I wanted to ask you about Pitfalls is, because you know how much I love to spend your money, is a lot of people get locked into a salary range, and oftentimes small business owners, when we're dealing with $5-10 million in or in revenue, aren't often willing to spend that little extra to get a whole bunch extra in terms of experience.
Mm-hmm.
I'm leading the witness here, but what's your philosophy on that now? Because these are conversations we had.
Yeah, absolutely, we had them, and my advice is spend the extra. It's worked for me, and we've the few times that we've went out and had to get into that, in that pain area where it's a little more than I wanted to pay and needed to pay, and you just kind of look inward and is it the right person? And I've always heard in my career, if you find good people, they'll pay for themselves. And I can say my experience, that's kind of how it's been. When you find that right guy that fits, it's a culture thing more than anything. I mean, experience and skills are obviously very important, but it's more about the culture. When they fit and they become part of the synergy of your organizations, they'll find a way to pay for themselves.
Right.
And so we all have our limits. We all have to be careful, but especially in times like we're in right now with all the inflation and things that are happening, you have to just go out and seek good people and try to just hopefully you can just get the best person you can afford. Let's put it
right.
Like
that. And that, I mean, it speaks to a bit of process too, because it's not like we were just like you and I were sitting down talking to everyone. There was a process in the background that we were making sure everyone was keyed into what you wanted and your business and your core values. And, so I mean, yeah, I guess the message is, don't just find someone who looks great and give them whatever they want, but you got to have the right process to make sure when you get to that point, if we hadn't had a good, thorough process and if we got to that point without the process, it probably would have been a much harder sell to say, hey, we hardly know anything about this individual, but let's pay them anyway. Right.
Right. Yeah. The thing that I enjoyed probably the most in the beginning of this relationship with Key Hire was I believe you call it the avatar, right?
Yeah.
Where you came out, you spent a day on site, and you didn't spend it with me. You spent a few minutes with me, which was a little, that did surprise me, because most of my past experience, it was all about them talking to me and what do I want. But you came out and, you and I talked, but you spent the lion's share of the time you were here talking to other people in the organization. And I think that's the best thing that we really did, because after a few months and these given things, our culture, and I can't drive that home enough. You understand, you can take the world's greatest whatever, but if they're not a culture fit, it's not going to work.
I agree.
And I think taking the time to do that and do it right, not only was the good thing up front, but it sort of made this go in autopilot, because when you've pushed strong candidates forward since then, I know that they're well vetted and they're going to be a pretty good fit. Right. I haven't liked them all, and we haven't hired them all. I'm not
never
saying
about 1,000, right?
No, for sure. But at least, that, because that's not my favorite thing in the world to do, is vetting resumes and talking to people. And so just having the confidence to know that those people that are put out there are quality candidates is how I guess I'll say it. That was huge. And that took a big load off of us for sure, off of me in particular.
So I know now the work we've done, you're in a position where you have really a strong leadership team. And so how has that affected you in your world? And how has that affected the business? So, I mean, we've got this great leadership team in place now. And I know one of your goals was to do a little less. And how has that affected, the organization as a whole, having this strong group of leaders that seem to all be, connected and sharing the vision and buying in?
Well, it's impacted me the most, probably in a positive way. As I just said about planning back in 2019, I just decided that I had a 60-year birthday this year. And so I said, it's time for me. I don't want to not work. Work's what I do. Work's my passion. It's what I love, our business. And I just said, but I'd like to work a little. I'd like to spend all of my time doing what I enjoy the most, and that's working on the business, and maybe a little less or maybe not at all in the business, as they say. And so I set myself a goal and started working down that. And because of the leadership team that you've been key in helping us develop and put together, I'm able to do that now. And so that's helped me tremendously. I'm spending time doing things that I want to do now and that I enjoy doing. And frankly, I think the organization gains from, we have jobs and roles we want to do. From the organizational side, it's been just as profound. You hear that a lot of times. I'm not always the CEO, or the person's not always the best of everything. And so getting out of the way has been part of my responsibility, and it's been pretty profound of some of the empowerment and growth of some of our other people. Just me getting out of the middle of things has been pretty remarkable. So it's been two-sided, and it's been very, very good. If you're in a position to build a leadership team, I highly recommend it. It is so much. It just takes so much of the responsibility. It doesn't take it off of you, but it allows you to share it with a really high quality brain trust, and that feels really good.
So I want to, if any business owners out there take one thing away, this is what I want them to take away: hire good people and get out of the way.
You got it. It's
hire good people and then get into business, right?
And I'm sure everybody's not like me, but getting out of the way is not the easiest thing I've ever done.
No, it's not, because it's your baby, right? You've created it all, and then you got people coming in saying, well, your baby's ugly. Let's change this.
The emotional attachment is hard, but hey, if you can do it and just commit yourself to it, your quality of life, I promise, will improve. And I bet you your organization will improve. There's probably some weak spots out there that, you go higher to your weaknesses, not your strengths. And that's exactly what happens.
And there's something, though, too, like putting the plan, the human capital plan together to go out and hire these experts, right? It's not just going out and hiring a buddy and saying, hey, you're going to take this over and it's going to be great. It's right. I think people need to understand, we've kind of talked all around it, but like, go find the right people, pay them what they're worth. If it's within your range, sometimes it could be a little uncomfortable, but if you put the plan in place, you put a process in place, you work that process, and you get to the end of it, I always talk about, the probabilities of it being a success and good for your business are much higher than if you just say, I want to grow, I'm going to hire this person, I'll pay them whatever. Don't put and then wonder why am I still so involved in the business? Don't change your mindset to trust them to do what they do.
Right. It's the upfront work, right? It's getting it right, getting that avatar, it's culture. I'll just keep repeating that, but it is. If you get somebody that matches your culture, and I have yet to hire a quality person that fit my budget, right? I mean, when you go out and you get those good people, they should make you a little uncomfortable because they're good. They're experts and they're bringing it in. And
even more reason to get out of their way.
If they're cheap, they're probably cheap for a reason, right?
That's right.
Yeah. And then get out of the way. That's the big thing. And,
don't pay them a bunch of money and then tell them what to do, get in their business.
No, that's been there, done that. I don't advise that.
Awesome. Okay. Well, Terry, look, we ran a little long here. So look at, tell us about wood finishers. Tell us what you're up to. Tell us where we can go order our supplies.
Wood Finishers Depot, we're an industrial coatings distributor. And so our business is all about distributing anything to do with finishing wood. So our clientele are factories, cabinet manufacturers, fixture millwork shops, anything like that. So we're definitely an industrial shop. Color's the name of our game. Service after the sale. And so if you have anything to do with finishing, touching up, coloring wood, anything like that, then we'd love to talk to you. You can reach us. Woodfinishersdepot.com is pretty well the right way to go out. Check us out.
See, Matt, got your banner up there for you.
You're on it, man. That's good stuff. Very impressive.
Well, Terry, hey, thanks so much. I know you're busy. We certainly appreciate you taking some time out to talk to us today and help kind of spread the word about the change in that small business owner mindset.
Yeah, glad to do it.
Yeah,
thanks for inviting me.
And I'll be talking to you in a couple of days here anyway.
There we go. We're working on another one. Let's go.
I know we are too. All right. Well, thanks, Terry. I appreciate you.
All right. Bye.
Talk to you soon. All right, Terry Parrish, one of my favorites. Mr. Matt, did we have any questions roll in there since we've been chatting away? How can I help my employees become more self-sufficient? So these questions, this sounds like it should be a really simple answer, but it isn't. And it's funny because this really taps into what Terry was talking about. It all starts in the beginning. So if you want self-sufficient people, we need to understand who we are and what we have. So if you have an organization that has amazing training, then we can hire less experienced people and run them through our training program with the knowledge that this is the payoff is long-term. The ROI has a long tail because we have to train them. They're going to take months to get up to speed before we start getting the value out of them. But in general, that's cheaper labor to start because they don't bring any of the experience we need to the table. Generally, not a lot of experience. They might be new to the workforce. But if we don't have training, then we need to hire people that already have the experience that we're looking for in our business and acclimate them to the business. So the ROI is going to come faster from this individual, but we're going to have to pay more to get them in the door. The mistake most people make is they don't have the training. They don't want to pay for experience. So they hire inexperienced people, throw them in the fire, and hope that they can figure it out and they have the aptitude and the foresight and can make those steps. The problem with this is a lot of business owners will tell you that's what they do and it works because it worked one time. And they forget about the 99 other people that they hired and didn't work out. But that one person who just happened to have that aptitude and the initiative that was right for that job, that process worked for them is the one that they always remember. So they say, oh no, we'll just go hire some experienced people. Apparently we do enough training because it worked for so-and-so, but it didn't work for the 99 other people. So this is, if you want to make them more self-sufficient, we need to understand where are we coming from as a business. Can we train them? If we can bring in lower wage workers and train them with the expectation it's going to take a while to get our money back. If we don't have training, we can hire for experience. Or if we do have training, we still hire for experience depending on our need. And then to make them more self-sufficient, it's just, empowerment training, good people over them, giving them the attention they need to develop that skills and experience. 3 months in a role does not give someone enough experience to move them to the next level. And then another 3 months to the next level. And you wonder, well, what happened? They used to be so good. Well, it's the Peter principle. Everyone will rise to the level of their own incompetence. So you can keep promoting people to the point where they're unsuccessful. They've met their Peter principle, right? They have run out of capacity and experience, and you have exhausted all of their resources. So what do you do at that point? I think I answered that. Matt, do we have one more before we wrap? What are some pitfalls to watch over during the growth process? So, and Terry and I talked a little bit about this too. So pitfalls are not doing the planning, not doing the work, not understanding what we would call not building the action plan to understand here's what I look like at $5 million. Terry talked about what do you say, 20 and 30. So he wants to be at $20 million by the year 2030, which is a very conservative plan for Terry. So here's what I look like at 5. My organization won't look like that at 15 or 20. So what does it need to look like? And generally, what's going to change in that organization is a layer of management that you're going to add in underneath yourself as the owner. You're going to have your experts. And, to really put it simply, there's only three areas of a business. There's sales, there's operations, there's administration. So oftentimes what's going to change is if you're in a manufacturing business, you're going to need to add an operations leader that's going to be able to bring you a lot in terms of lean manufacturing to make sure they're creating and implementing processes and procedures that will help scale your business. They're going to need to know health and safety. Depending on what kind of certifications you have, OSHA and all that good stuff. What are they bringing to the table? And we're going to have to go out and pay for these operational leaders that will then take over that part of the business, and you can remove yourself. Same thing with sales, same things with administration, accounting, controllership, accounts payable, AR, HR, all those good things. So that would be the biggest pitfall, is just saying, hey, we want to grow. I think I have a need. I need to hire for this. A lot of times when we go into business, and I want to say it's probably more than 50%. I've never crunched the numbers on it, but it feels like more than 50% of the time when we go into a business, because they want to develop a role, 60% of the work we do is developing a new role for a company. And much like we did with Terry, his leadership team didn't really exist before we started working with them. But they want us to develop a role for them. And I'm going to say 50% of the time or more, we go in and the role they think they need is not the role that they should have. And when we do our diligence, some of the stuff Terry was talking about, interviewing the staff, building out the avatar and understanding the business, we go back and say, that's not the role you need today. This might be the role. And a simple example would be, I need a director of sales because our sales aren't growing. But when you do the work and you come back and say, yeah, sales aren't growing because your operation is already at the red line. You can't sell anymore because your quality is going to go down, your OTDs are going to suffer, all that stuff. So then we end up developing a director of operations role. So we can say, at least let's level up the operation and give them a running start. Then we can go focus on sales, because we don't want to start pumping business into a pipeline where we know the other side of the business isn't equipped, doesn't have the process and procedure in place to handle that level of volume. So that's where it starts. And then it goes to putting the right process in place. If you're going to hire someone at a director level or someone to lead a segment of your business, put the right process in place to make sure they're vetted. You understand who they are. You know exactly what they're bringing to the table. They know exactly what they're getting into. Are you ready to turn them loose, as Terry said, and just get out of the way and say, I hired you to make my business better? Your credentials and experience and everything we've talked about leads me to believe you can do that. Go do your job, and I'll just step out of the way, because the processes that I put in place worked up until now, but they just don't work anymore, and we need to fix them. So I think that puts us right at 2:30. Perfect. All right, half hour. So I want to thank everyone for tuning in. Before we tune out, though, I want to draw your attention to a couple things. We do have a free resource on our website. You can sign up and get our ebook, which is Hiring in the Key of C. It's actually an extensive ebook, and it comes with a video and a free consultation that will help you develop your attraction, acquisition, hiring process. And it's our process. It's the proprietary Key Hire process. We're giving that to you for free. It's tough hiring out there, and you need all the help you can get. And we are on the side of small business owners, so we want to help you any way we can. Also, you can join our LinkedIn company page. That's where we put all of our information. We'll be posting this video. It's actually streaming live there right now. And any other information we have, we pump out on that page so you can kind of keep up to date as to what's going on. And Matt, am I missing anything? Nope. Oh, or you can go to the website and find out more about what we do. Our key business really, just to put it really simply, 60% of the work we do is working with the small business owners between 5 million and 15 million to develop new leadership roles for their business, and then finding and acquiring and hiring that talent for them. Some of what we do is upgrading current leadership positions. So someone has resigned, my director of sales or sales manager has left, we need a new one in, but there's a couple things I want to talk about, make sure we get the right person. So leveling up that role. And then the most expensive thing we do is actually building that action plan for you. So, hey, I'm at 5, I want to get to 15. And I know I need people to do that. So we walk with you, or it's a done for you service. So we'll build the complete action plan for you and then go out and take action on the plan. So that's it. Until next time, thanks so much for your time, everyone. We will see you in 2 weeks.